Fuckin Goofy by Humongous. Quote, "It's called the American Dream, 'cause you have to be asleep to believe it." Unquote. George Carlin. "The Kremlin's got a hell of a sense of humor," Colonel Troutman concluded wryly. "Please explain," responded Xenu. "You talk peace and disarmament to the world, and here you are wiping out a race of people. You expect sympathy? You started this damn war. Now you'll have to deal with it," the American officer declared. "And we will. It is just a matter of time before we achieve a complete victory," Xenu replied. "You know there won't be a victory. Every day your war machines lose ground to a bunch of poorly armed, poorly equipped freedom fighters. The fact is that you underestimated your competition. If you'd studied your history, you'd know that these people have never given up to anyone. They'd rather die than be slaves to an invading army. You can't defeat a people like that. We tried. We already had our Vietnam. Now you're going to have yours," retorted Troutman. Jesus fuck. The proceeding comes via 1988's Rambo 3, a movie in which Russia is portrayed as villainous for invading Afghanistan. However, in 2001, the United States mounted an even more destructive offensive against the same Middle Eastern nation. During this war, which is ongoing, the U.S. has characterized itself as the good guy. Hence, countless Americans support the same action they found repulsive when perpetrated by Russia. You can keep deceiving yourself you're living in a quote-unquote free country, unhindered by subterfuge, but it's absurd enough when you lie to others. Lying to yourself is simply insane. So what makes a soldier any different than a serial killer? Both annihilate numerous innocent people. Both do so under the auspices of a higher compulsion. However, one is sanctified while the other is denigrated. Identical actions, antithetical response. Doesn't this mean on Veterans Day we're honoring mass murderers? Somehow the English language was replaced by acronyms and people converted to illiteracy. Correct communication may seem trivial, however, you'll view things differently when individuals unable to read design the components for the jumbo jet in which you're flying. How about entrusting cooling procedures of a nuclear power plant to someone who can't write? Why do folks pay extra for car alarms? When was the last time you saw anybody respond to such a feature? Car alarms activate constantly, and nobody, including the vehicle owners, view them as anything but a bother. People are illogical. We don't even know from whence our species derives, and most of us are doing nothing to find out. Doesn't it behoove us to discover why we're here and how this universe works? If so, how come we constantly involve ourselves in topics more senseless than using a GPS to drive 10 feet? The pettiness with which we're concerned is as pointless as asserting Dr. Phil is having a bad hair day. Just because you've been brainwashed into accepting things as true does not make them real. Could the verisimilitude you've always known be no more authentic than the recent version of Dolly Parton's face? The above examples chip away at what most of us perceive as reality. Realize these are a minute percentage of the lapses in logic humanity engages in every day. Documenting each instance of unreason would require volumes. Suffice it to say, the paradigm created around us is not real. So the question arises as to what reality is. It's when you stop watching television that it begins. Soon you cancel your cable subscription. Sometime later, you no longer quote-unquote own a TV. The vacuous truth there's a show called The Biggest Loser eludes you. Imperative facts, like the 240-foot wide asteroid that marginally missed Earth in 2002, unknown to humans until 3 days after it passed, occupy your brain. You're stupefied. Heinz Haber, a Nazi war criminal responsible for hundreds of executions, acted beside Walt Disney on a post-World War II production known as Our Friend the Atom. You're amazed Tom Cruise firmly believes in Xenu, ruler of the Galactic Confederacy, who migrated his kind to Earth in a DC-8, positioned them around volcanoes, and destroyed them with hydrogen bombs. You now reside in a paradigm most choose to believe does not exist. It's called reality. Still, you interact with people who know nothing of it. You've tried to apprise them, but they've only gawked at you as though you had a birthmark resembling Geraldo's face on your forehead. Hence you remain quiet while they sermonize about an Ashton Kutcher love triangle, the best temperature for baking flan, or the amount of hair on Mitt Romney's balls. You observe as most of humanity drugs itself with placebos that cause more harm than good for maladies that don't even exist. You know you'd never put something in your body that could induce a heart attack just to obtain an erection. With escalating revenue of so-called erectile dysfunction drugs, however, you realize there are those who would. A $500 phone you'll drop and thus destroy. A $600 pair of sunglasses you'll lose in a week. A blouse you can't wash because of bleeding dyes, but one you're willing to buy for $700 due to its name. It doesn't make sense to the logical, but the logical don't make sense to those living this confusion. In the paradigm of the insane, the sane will forever be viewed like someone having sexual relations with a Disney dog mascot. Fuckin Goofy!